Hey guys, welcome back. And now in this lecture we are going to do the remaining of CSS selector lecture part, as we have divided it into the two parts. So first one is uploaded and second one I'm going to share it with you in this lecture. So let's open our VS Code, and inside the VS Code, as I mentioned before, I have created a folder learning CSS, and this is for the part 1. And now I'm going to create another file for the CSS selector part 2. I will name it like that, CSS selector part 2 .html. And here I'm going to use this icon and press enter to auto generate this whole structure again. And now I will come here, I will go to my CSS selectors title and I will paste it, but I will mention part 2. Now come to our finder, and you are seeing here the second file. It's under the linear learning CSS, and you can also find this view. It's the Mac actually, but you can use the Windows and you can find the folder you have created. Like I have created it inside the desktop, and inside the desktop there is a folder called intro to web development, and here I'm having the learning.css. As you can see, it's mentioned here inside this folder. I'm going to open this, and here is our file. I'm double clicking it to open, so it's here, and you can see the title is changed. So this was our creation of the file, and now let's continue with our code. So in code I'm going to type something that is called diff. So now it's the time I can define diff you in a better way. Like diff is a container that holds the data for you in the websites. Just understand this for now. When we will be officially developing a page or a surface, I will show you what is the difference between the diff and other elements. But diff is actually something that was used before HTML5. In HTML5 there are many tags introduced, but diff is still there for the use because it's the building block of creating containers when you don't want to use, or your structure of main section or the new HTML tags are not fitting according to your wills, so you can use the diff. Diff is a container that is not that well defined like navbar and main or article tags, but it's something that is there for you. So let's have diff h1 is heading 1. Heading 1. I'm going to create a p that is people, and other p, just for your understanding, lorem 23. Here I'm going to view. You can also find that in the Windows. It's view, and inside the view it's world wrap, so we don't need to scroll. We are having everything on our VS Code screen as fit. So now what I'm going to use, I'm going to create another list, unordered list. So here is item, and I'm going to copy this, paste it. These are the random tags I generated so I can explain you the CSS selectors better. Here is all the data we have mentioned here is showing up on the website, and here I'm going to create style.css just for defining internal CSS. So here I'm first going to use the decent selectors. It's not T, it's something decent. I will correct the spellings later. So decent selector, here you can see it's the decent selector, and here I'm going to just write diff and h1. I can show you the difference. I'm copying this and I'm just going here, pasting it, and name it as h2. Come here, run, and here is our h2. Now here what I'm going to do, I'm going to allot it a color. The color is brown. Come here, refresh. So only this one is changed because we are asking the CSS to go inside the diff and then find the h1. Even we can do one thing, we can create another div that is having a P, and inside the P there is a H, and H is heading heading 3. Just come here, refresh, we are having it. So you can see they both are having the same color because we are just asking it inside the div. If there is any H1, go inside it and change its color. That's the JSON selector. Now the parent selector, I can show you how it works. In that we will use parent to find it, similar to the first one, but it's actually same, but it may have some differences in the situation like this. And H1, and here I'm just also asking the HTML to go inside the div, find the H1 and change its color to something like this, and I'm going to refresh it. So both color are changed because I'm asking it go inside the H1, not inside the H1, go inside the div and find H1. So this is the div, this is H1, and there is another div, and there is H1. I can show you the difference, like go inside the div H1. I can show you it, like refresh, and it's changing the first one, not first one, second one. Like here we are only having the change of color for the div and H1, and it will also work here if I go that way. So these both are actually same, but there is a minor difference. Like now this is not selecting this one, it's just going for the div. It's because it's only having one div and H1, so it's not finding the second div, so it's again colored black. Now I'm going to remove this div and refresh it. So we are having the change of color. I hope you got it. These both are similar. So the next one we are going to define is the adjacent sibling. It's quite easy, but at the same time you can find it difficult. Like here I'm going to define, I'm just typing the name first, adjacent sibling selector. What the sibling means? Sibling means next to. So here is the H1, and what is next to H1 is div. So now I will come here, I will type H1. So here is only one H1 that is having div next to it, so I'm just going to pay the plus div, and I will show you the difference with another trick. For the paragraphs especially, you can understand better when I will test it on the paragraph, but for now I'm just testing it on H1. So even I will use the color, and color should be black, not black, something like not this, like this. Come here and refresh. So you can see it's changed the color because we asked it to select the div that is next to H1. And what if I ask it cancel, I pressed the wrong button, I will paste the P and I will refresh. Now you can see nothing happened because there is no P next to H1. So in that case, what we can do, I'm going to ask it something that is, maybe you find it is stupid, but I'm just using it. So it's using this, it's selecting this because it's leaving the first, as I'm asking, select the P that is next to the P. So this is the first P that's defined here, and select the next P that is this one. So that's the adjacent selector. I will copy this and paste it after the comment, so you can have the notes in the end of this lecture in the code. And the next we are going to do our pseudo selectors, and for this I think we need to create another lecture because it's quite fun to learn these, and these can make you to work select randomly the elements without defining these structures for every code. You can select randomly. You can ask the CSS for selecting an element next to every third element of an array, or every third element of a list or something like the body. So it's very fun to learn, so be there with me. I can show you it in the next lecture, and for this lecture I will share the code video description, and also our this outline and the CSS code. We just created the code file in the link video description, and also the complete code link you can find it in the video description. So be there with me for the next lecture, for the part 3, where we will complete the CSS selectors. Then we can move on with the type of CSS, text styling, and box model and backgrounds. So be there with me for the next lecture, and thank you for the watching. See you in the next lecture. So let's code in the next lecture.